The adults need to discuss business, my father said with his trademark condescension, gesturing toward the kitchen where the children's table was set up. Go sit with the kids, Alexandra. This conversation is beyond your experience level. I glanced at my watch, a subtle Patek Philippe worth more than their house, and checked the time. 6:45 p.m. Perfect. The press release was scheduled for 7 o'clock. Of course, Dad, I said mildly, gathering my plate. Around the main dining table, my siblings and their spouses barely concealed their smirks. After all, at 28 I was the family failure, the one who couldn't handle working at Harrison Industries, our family's struggling manufacturing company. If they only knew I was the anonymous buyer who'd been acquiring their company's stock for the past year. Try not to interrupt the grown-ups, my sister Jennifer called after me, adjusting her designer scarf, a knockoff she thought was genuine. Tom's about to explain his plan to save the company. Tom, Jennifer's husband and the current CFO of Harrison Industries, puffed up importantly. Yes, I've been working on a brilliant restructuring strategy. I settled at the children's table, surrounded by my nieces and nephews. My cheap phone, actually a custom secure device worth more than their cars, was already buzzing with preliminary market reactions to the upcoming announcement. Aunt Alex, my 8-year-old niece Sarah whispered, why do they make you sit here? You're a grown-up. Because they think I'm not successful, I whispered back, helping her cut her turkey. They don't know what I really do. What do you really do? I smiled, hearing Tom's voice drift over from the main table, still explaining his doomed restructuring plan. I buy companies, sweetheart. Big ones. Like Daddy's company? Exactly like Daddy's company. My phone buzzed again, a message from my CEO. Everything's ready. Press release goes live in 10 minutes. Markets are going to go crazy. I could hear snippets of Tom's brilliant plan. Sell off the profitable divisions, take on more debt, maybe lay off some workers. If he only knew those profitable divisions were already mine, purchased through shell companies over the past year. The debt he was planning to take on? My banks would be declining those loans. The workers he wanted to lay off? I had better jobs waiting for them in my other companies. The real problem, my brother Michael was saying, is that we need a miracle. The company's worth nothing now. I checked my watch again. 6:55 p.m. In 5 minutes, they'd learn exactly what Harrison Industries was worth. To me anyway. What about that rumor of a buyer? My mother asked. Tom, didn't you say someone was acquiring shares? Some anonymous investor, Tom dismissed. Probably just a market speculator. Nobody serious would want this company. I suppressed a smile, remembering the look on my investment team's faces when I'd first proposed the acquisition. But it's a failing company, they'd said. Why would you want it? As some things were worth more than money. Aunt Alex, Sarah tugged at my sleeve, why is your phone buzzing so much? Because something big is about to happen, I whispered, watching the seconds tick down. Want to watch? She nodded eagerly and I pulled her onto my lap, holding my phone where she could see it. 6:59 p.m. 10, I whispered, 9, 8. What are you counting down to? 7, 6, 5. A very special announcement. For E3, 2. Every phone at the adult table suddenly buzzed simultaneously. The synchronized chime of breaking news alerts cut through their business discussion like a knife. 1. I watched over Sarah's shoulder as they reached for their phones, confusion turning to shock as they read the headlines. Breaking. Morgan Global acquires Harrison Industries in $2 billion deal. Mysterious billionaire Alexandra Morgan reveals identity in stunning takeover. Wall Street stunned as youngest Fortune 500 CEO claims family business. The sound of shattering glass pierced the silence. Tom had dropped his wine, sending red liquid spreading across my mother's prized tablecloth. That's your name, Aunt Alex. Sarah exclaimed excitedly. Are you the billionaire? Alexandra. My father's voice cracked. What is this? I stood up slowly, straightening my simple black dress, a custom Chanel piece that cost more than their combined salaries. This, I said calmly, is business. And I believe we need to have a serious discussion about the future of Harrison Industries. I paused, letting it sink in. Pie company. The silence in the dining room was absolute, broken only by the gentle clink of Sarah's fork as she continued eating her turkey, oblivious to the earthquake that had just shaken her family's world. My other nieces and nephews looked between me and their shell-shocked parents, sensing something momentous had occurred. This is impossible, Tom finally sputtered, his face turning an interesting shade of purple. Harrison Industries is worth barely $200 million. Was worth $200 million, I corrected, walking slowly toward the main table. Under your management, anyway. Morgan Global's valuation puts it at $2 billion after restructuring. Though that's just the beginning. Jennifer's hands were shaking so badly she had to put down her phone. Morgan Global, but that's the largest private equity firm in the world? I supplied. Yes, it is. Though that's just our public face. The private holdings are considerably more substantial. My father had gone completely pale, his eyes fixed on his phone screen where the headlines kept rolling in. Alexandra Morgan, the silent billionaire behind Morgan Global. Wall Street's greatest mystery solved. Morgan Global CEO reveals identity. Harrison Industries stock soars 500% on acquisition news. But you're just. He couldn't even finish the sentence. Just what, Dad? The daughter who couldn't handle working at Harrison Industries. I smiled slightly. The one you forced out because I suggested modernizing the production lines. Those modernization plans would have bankrupted us. Tom found his voice again. The cost alone would have been less than what I spend on office supplies in a month. I cut him off. Morgan Global's quarterly coffee budget is larger than Harrison Industries' annual revenue. My phone buzzed again, messages from various world leaders and business titans congratulating me on the acquisition. The president wanted a meeting. The British Prime Minister was inquiring about UK expansion possibilities. Speaking of finances, I continued, pulling up a document on my phone, let's discuss your creative accounting, Tom. The SEC is particularly interested in those offshore accounts you've been using. The color drained from his face. What offshore accounts? The ones where you've been hiding company assets. Did you really think Morgan Global's forensic accounting team wouldn't find them during due diligence? Jennifer turned to her husband, horror dawning on her face. Tom? What is she talking about? Oh, he didn't tell you? I raised an eyebrow. About how he's been embezzling from the pension fund. About the shell companies he set up in the Cayman Islands. My mother's hand flew to her pearl necklace, the one she'd bragged about Dad buying her last Christmas. But Tom's been handling all our personal investments. Yes, he has, I confirmed. And as of. I checked my watch, 12 minutes ago, those accounts have been frozen pending federal investigation. The children's table had gone quiet, the kids watching the adult drama unfold with wide eyes. Sarah tugged at my sleeve again. Aunt Alex, does this mean you're everyone's boss now? Yes, sweetheart, it does. I smiled down at her. In fact, why don't you all go play in the family room? The grown-ups need to have a serious discussion. As the children filed out, I turned back to my stunned family. Now then, let's talk about what happens next. What do you mean, what happens next? Michael demanded. You can't just walk in here and take over our company. Actually, I can. And I did. I pulled out my phone again, bringing up another document. I own 87% of Harrison Industries shares. The board approved the acquisition unanimously this morning. It's done. The board, my father's voice cracked. But I'm the chairman. Not anymore, I corrected. As of 7 p.m. you're retired. Along with the entire current management team. Tom started to stand up, but my words froze him in place. The entire management team? Did you think I'd keep a CFO who's been embezzling from the company? I asked mildly. The FBI will be here shortly, by the way. They're very interested in those offshore accounts. Jennifer burst into tears. You're having my husband arrested? At Thanksgiving dinner. No, I said calmly. I'm having a criminal arrested who happens to be your husband. The timing is unfortunate but necessary. Through the dining room windows, we could see black SUVs pulling up to the house, standard procedure when I traveled anywhere. My security team was already taking up positions around the property. But what will happen to us? My mother whispered. Our savings, our investments, are all tied up in Tom's fraud, I finished. The SEC has frozen everything pending investigation. Though I'm willing to be lenient under certain conditions. I reached into my bag, a custom Hermes piece worth more than their combined net worth, and pulled out 5 envelopes. Inside each envelope, I continued, you'll find 2 options. Choose carefully. Your futures depend on it. Options. Michael's voice cracked. Option 1. Cooperate fully with the federal investigation, return all fraudulent gains and accept positions in one of my smaller companies, starting at entry level of course. Entry level? Jennifer screeched. I'm a vice president. You're unemployed, I corrected. Your position was obtained through nepotism and funded by fraud. That ends today. And option 2? My father asked quietly. Face the consequences of your actions without my intervention. The SEC is particularly interested in how family members helped conceal Tom's fraud. Those investment seminars you hosted, Dad? The client referrals? All illegal. The silence that followed was deafening. Outside I could see FBI vehicles joining my security detail. My phone buzzed again, a message from my CO. Asian markets opening in an hour. Ready to change the world. I looked at my family, their perfect Thanksgiving dinner ruined by the weight of their own crimes. Yes, I typed back. It's time for some changes. The aroma of turkey and cranberry sauce still lingered in the air, a stark contrast to the tension that now gripped the dining room. Through the window, red and blue lights began flashing as FBI vehicles joined my security detail. The perfect Thanksgiving tableau was about to shatter completely. Before the FBI comes in, I said, settling into what had always been my father's chair at the head of the table, let me explain exactly what Morgan Global's forensic team uncovered. I pulled out my tablet, a custom secure device that made their latest iPads look like children's toys, and began displaying documents on the dining room's built-in smart screen. Another acquisition they didn't know about. I'd bought the company that made the screen last month. First, there's the matter of the pension fund. I began pulling up detailed financial records. Tom has been systematically draining it for the past 3 years. Over $50 million missing, funneled through a complex network of shell companies. Jennifer's mascara was creating dark rivers down her cheeks. Tom, tell me this isn't true. It gets worse, I continued, swiping to the next document. Dad, remember those special investment opportunities you helped Tom promote to your golf club friends? My father's hands began to shake. Those were legitimate investments. They were Ponzi schemes, I said. You convinced 38 of your closest friends to invest their life savings into fake funds. The FBI is very interested in your role, especially since you weren't even a licensed advisor. But Tom handled the paperwork, he said weakly. He did. Using one of my banks, actually. Did you really think Morgan Global wouldn't notice shady transactions running through our own systems? Michael, who had been quiet all night, finally spoke. Wait, your banks? How many companies do you own? I gave a small smile. Morgan Global owns controlling shares in over 500 companies. Banks, tech firms, factories, real estate, you name it. Last quarter, our value passed $200 billion. $200 billion. My mother whispered, clutching her pearls. The same ones from a jewelry company I bought last year. And that's just the part people know about, I added. The private assets are even bigger. My phone buzzed again. The president wanted a briefing. The Chinese premier had questions. I ignored them, for now family came first. Now, I said, let's talk about Mom's charity. The one Tom used to launder money through fake donations. My mother turned pale. But we help children. You helped yourselves, I said. Over $30 million in fake donations. That money ended up in offshore accounts. Jennifer started crying. All our money, everything, was built on lies, I said. Your houses, cars, trips, and country club memberships, paid for with stolen money. I looked toward the hallway where Sarah and the other kids stood watching, confused. They were the real victims, trapped in a future shaped by their parents' greed. Still, I said gently, for their sake I'm willing to show mercy. Mercy? Tom snapped. You're having me arrested. I'm arresting a criminal, I said firmly. You being family doesn't change that. But it does give you one chance. I pointed to the unopened envelopes on the table. Each envelope explains 2 options. Option 1. Cooperate with the investigation, return the stolen money, and start fresh in one of my companies. Entry-level jobs. Earn your way up. No special treatment. What about our money? My father asked quietly. It's frozen for now. You'll get a living allowance based on how much you help. The fancy houses, cars, and luxury stuff? All seized. Seized. Jennifer shouted. Where are we supposed to live? Morgan Global has housing for employees in transition. Simple but clean and safe. Your kids' education will be covered too. And option 2? Michael asked as he finally picked up his envelope. Simple, I said. Refuse and the FBI and SEC get everything. You face the full consequences on your own. Just then, footsteps echoed in the hallway. FBI agents were arriving, led by my head of security. Ms. Morgan, he said, the agents are ready. Thank you, James. I stood adjusting my Chanel dress. You have until they walk in to decide. Choose wisely. Wait, my mother cried. All these years, why didn't you tell us who you really were? I looked around the ruined Thanksgiving table. I tried, I said. Last year I offered to help modernize the company. You laughed. Said I didn't understand business. Jennifer waved her hands. But your office, your clothes, your car. All part of staying hidden while I built something real, I said. You showed off stolen wealth. I built a company that creates jobs and helps people. Morgan Global now has over 400,000 employees. We build things that matter. FBI agents walked in. The room went still. One last thing, I said. I took out a paper and placed it on the table. A list of every Harrison Industries employee. Their jobs and pensions are safe. Why? My father whispered. After how we treated you? Because that's the difference, I said. Real success isn't about revenge or showing off. It's about building something honest and lasting. An agent stepped forward. Miss Morgan, we're ready. I nodded. You have seconds. Choose. Tom's handcuffs clicked. The others rushed to open their envelopes. My phone buzzed. Another message from my CEO. Asian markets are going wild. Ready to rebuild the right way. I looked at Sarah and the other kids watching from the hallway. Their future would be different. It would be real. Yes, I replied. It's time to show them what honest success looks like. Because true power isn't destroying people. It's building something better. And this was just the beginning.